The last piece of a digital assignment that I want to talk about is going through and looking at quizzes. And specifically, it's this new quizzes. So I can get there by going here, but I can also add it through the assignments. But I'll just go here first. So quizzes, and then I'll add a plus quiz. If this is the first time you've used quizzes, it'll probably ask you the old or the classic or the new one. Choose the new because they're really phasing out the old part. And this, in my opinion, gives you a lot more options and is a better tool to use for assessment. Let's just say test 1. I know I'm going to want this test to be worth 100 points. And it's similar to an assignment. I'm just going to hit save. Once I hit save, it's going to take me to a different section to type in my questions. And it's because it's using an external tool to do this. Now, if you want to see an external tool in an assignment, look at the additional resources because you'll probably want to see the one for Google Assignments. It's pretty awesome. But let's stay on topic here and just look at quizzes. For this, I can change my title. If I messed up before, I can just change it here. I can add instructions, and then this plus sign is where I start adding questions. All of these are fairly straightforward for what you're going to be expecting. Just understand if it's essay or short answer or something like that, you're going to have to grade that yourself. Everything else you can set, save for, I believe, file upload. You'll have to look at that, but pretty much everything else, it's going to be self-graded, so the test will grade itself. Also, if you're not sure about Hotspot, it's one of those things you can put in an image, people click on it, and it will automatically grade based on where they clicked on an image. The other neat thing is stimulus. So a stimulus, let me just add that real quick. It gives me the ability to add, let's say, a reading passage, or it could be a math problem that's multi-part. I could add this here. And then what I do is I add the stimulus. Let's just say test. And then I attach questions to that stimulus. So that means it gives me kind of this split screen that students can see either a reading passage or a multi-part math problem with multiple questions attached. So that's what that stimulus does. And then once I'm done, I can just add that, and let's say I want to go to just a multiple choice question next. And then it will start walking me through how to do each thing. So question title, then your answers, you choose the correct answer, and that's it. You can also have options based on each question. So I can do show on-screen calculator. Now that's going to be a basic calculator. I know some people have talked about, well, does it use the Desmos calculator for high school? It does not at this point, but hopefully one day that will be embedded within this option. I can also choose by question to shuffle answer choices, or it's something I can choose in the end. I can also add how many points this is worth. So if I wanted this question to be worth 30 points, I can make one question worth 30 points and another worth 10. Now, that's quickly how you can set up a test. Let's go to the settings so that you can see some of these settings. So one thing you can do is shuffle questions, shuffle answers, and it doesn't change on your end how you would see it. So you can still get the analytics even if you shuffle the questions and the answers. One question at a time will show one question on the screen at a time, and students have to just click next to go to the next question. You can require a student access code. So if you don't want your students to access it until you give them the code, you just set the code and then that's it. You have to give that to them before they can see it. You can set a time limit, but I'd be careful because I've seen this before where a student will click on it and then exit out. And once you click on that test, that's when the clock starts. So it doesn't count time. It doesn't count it like you were only in it for a minute or so and then you were out of it, so it stopped the clock. The clock doesn't stop. It keeps going from the time you click on it until time is over. So that'll have to be up to you to decide how you want to use that. I've seen it work out really well, and then other times it was kind of a pain because students couldn't get back into it because they weren't really thinking that if they clicked on it, it would start the timer. I wouldn't filter IP addresses because you'll run into issues where you get some odd IP addresses, and what that does is it blocks people from accessing content unless they're on a certain IP address. Allowing the calculator, you can allow it for the whole test, or you can allow it by question. And then, unless you were planning on giving students multiple attempts, don't allow multiple attempts. You can always go back in there and moderate the test, moderate the quiz to open it back up to specific students. But unless you want students taking it multiple times, leave that off. And then the last thing, restrict student view results. I would definitely look over those options, because what you can do is you can change it so that you show how many points the student was awarded for each question, which means they'll know the right answer if they got it right. They'll also know which questions they got wrong, and if you want to, you can show the items and the questions, so that means students can review that. It just depends on how much you trust your students and how much trust they've earned with this, because some people will not want them to see the correct answers or the incorrect answers or anything. Now, what you can do is, let's say I don't show the points awarded, but I want to show their student response. I can allow them to see exactly what they put, and then they won't necessarily know whether they're right or wrong until after a certain date. They'll know their score, but that's about it. Now, this is going to be a teacher decision on what you feel is best for your students, but these settings really can be catered to the needs of your class. So I would use that as a starting point, and at that point, that's pretty much everything there is with creating a quiz. These other reports, it will give you a quiz item analysis and then the outcomes analysis. This quiz item analysis will be really helpful if you have a PLC group or something like that. You need to pull data. It gives you a pretty good item analysis. Also, this moderate allows you to go in there and actually open up the test for students to take again. So that means, let's say somebody showed up, they took the test, but you feel like they could have done better and they really want another shot, you can give them another shot by moderating the quiz here. And outside of that, that's pretty much it. When I hit return, it takes me back to quizzes, and that's it. I mean, that's really all there is to setting up a quiz within Canvas. And now this kind of wraps up our 3-part e-lesson where we talk about digital assignments within Canvas, because really this is it. I mean, in between a quiz, an assignment, and a discussion, those are the 3 main modes of creating and delivering content within Canvas.